Impact. The word that describes the energy of October is impact. I'm going to tune back into the librarians and let them bring you the full force of this message. And there was a pun in that as well, because there are so many things that's going to happen this month that create an impact. And we're going to be feeling the full force of that impact on many different levels. So let me take a moment and get connected. For many of you, things seem to have been swirling lately. Things seem to have been moving more quickly than usual. Things seem to be happening at a pace that you can no longer keep track of. And we are here to say that this is by design. This is not a flaw. This is not that time is speeding up. This is by design. There has been a peak reached in humanity where you can only hold so much. If you look at the trajectory of the human experience, we as humans have been tasked with holding more and more and more and more and more and more over the generations, over the years. And that is reaching a tipping point, a boiling point, a fullness point. The impact of that fullness point is about to be hit. In accordance with, I don't know why that phrase is coming in accordance with that fullness and the reaching of that tipping point, events around the globe, both natural and man-made, will also be coming in with full impact. The reason this is by design is because it is designed to show humans where their breaking point is, not in service of breaking you, not in service of failure, but in service of a shedding the layers and a reintegration of that which is important, a refocusing on those things that can be controlled, those things that matter to each individual person. This fullness point helps bring about an act of surrender, helps bring about the energy of surrender in service of more activity and more power. This sounds contradictory. It is understood how this sounds contradictory, but it is the breaking down of one. It is the fullness of human attention cannot be diverted to so many different things all at one time. When human attention is diverted to so many different things, the eye is taken off the ball, and the human then loses control over the things that really matter, over the things that can be impacted and influenced. This is the necessary progression through. One must have one's awareness and consciousness expanded and expanded and expanded to have it go to that state of overwhelm, to have that state of release and surrender kick in. And from that place of release and surrender, and finally being able to see what is so clearly right in front of you, that is the point where the human regains power. So this month of October is the beginning of the tipping point. The human will not fully step into power until about February of this year, but this is the tipping point. It has been expanding. It has been moving faster. So much has been coming up by design. We are laughing because Lora is thinking correctly of her sewer experience. Only so much can be flushed down before it gets clogged up and spews back out. This is the necessary spewing back out. This is the necessary cleansing and tipping point that we are moving into in October. In October, you will be tired. In October, you will be tasked with too much. And we are here to say it is indeed too much. No human can handle what you are being tasked to handle. And no, an artificial tipping point cannot be pushed. You cannot simply choose to say, I surrender if you're not at that surrender point. The human needs to be at the surrender point in order to actually surrender. Otherwise, they will continue to fight. Otherwise, the mind will continue to step in and say, oh, but I can control this. Oh, well, I'm releasing that, but I'm still holding on to this. Well, I release that, but I'm not going to let this go. This piece is important to me. And that's what October is about. It is about pushing humanity to its breaking point, past its breaking point, so it can break, so it can release, so the sewer can explode in service of allowing things to be resolved. October is about the reaching of that tipping point, the reaching of that breaking point. November, we're still in this energy of clearing away. As we said earlier, internally, this will happen in systems that will happen. This will happen in the environment. This will happen as well. This clearing away, this hands off the wheel surrender because I can't anymore. Because I can't. Because there is no more. When the hands are off the wheel and the dust settles, that is the clearing. Oh, oh. This clearing, this mass clearing, this settling will be around the solstice. The energetic snowfall, the energetic darkness of the solstice will all come in around this season. So while you may be experiencing some overwhelm, some grief, some fear over this falling apart, remembering that solstice this year is very literal. It is very much that darkest night of the soul. It is very much the still snowfall. It is very much that point in time where you will be able to look out and say, ah, I see clearly now. In this environment, blanketed with ash, blanketed with snow, blanketed, it is muffled. And in that muffling of all of the noise, I can finally see what's really going on. Lora here, um, very, very much wondering about a communications disruption, very much wondering about our inability to access things like the internet communications devices. Um, Lora jumping in with that because the energy of that blanketing and that muffling sounds, it sounds very muffled. We say yes, it will be muffled. This is part of the events that will be taking place over the next couple of months that will be muffling the noise in order to see clearly. From the solstice, which is the point where you can finally see clearly, that is when the human regains their power, their ability to self-actualize, if you will, and fight. And Lora, again, not liking the energy of the word fight. Humans have the drive for life. Humans have the drive for growth. Humans have the drive for knowledge. The human sometimes needs to lean into that energy of fight, which is not the energy of war, which is not the energy of conflict, but this is the energy of fight. This is the seedling fighting through the soil in order to break free and access the sunlight. This is the fight of the baby animal breaking out of the shell. This is the fight. This is the fight of life. It is in the silence and the stillness that the human can finally start seeing where they are fighting for life. From solstice on, the human will start fighting for life. We'll start fighting to break free. We'll no longer be distracted. There will be distractions, but the human has the ability from solstice on to not be distracted. Distraction is a choice. Distraction is the place where the human goes when the human is overwhelmed and doesn't know what to do, when this human is still trying to put their hands on the wheel, when the human is still trying to control the show and form the narrative in a way that supports all of the things that that human has believed and thought and said and participated in. It's a reckoning. It is the reckoning of each individual that this is not what I knew to be true. And for many, there will be grief, there will be shame, there will be embarrassment, there will be feelings of, I don't know who I am, I don't know who this world is. And in that stillness of the solstice, that's where the clarity will come. And this is what I need to do to move myself forward, to fight for the values that I hold dear for me, not for imposing anything on others, but for myself. In this absence of communication, it is how do I guide and direct myself? Not even my household, but myself, my soul, my light. Oh, epiphany and the bringing forward of the light is where we all go within and we reconnect and relight our own lights and then lift our lights up for others to see. It is not about fighting to light others with your light. It is about lifting your light up in the courageousness of showing your light. In the darkness and in the stillness, we humans will suddenly know who we each individually are. And from that knowledge sparks the awareness of spirit within, the awareness of self, the drive, the fight to show that light as it is, the fight to express that light. No longer will people feel compelled to be the only light. No longer, no longer will most people feel compelled to be the only light. No longer will most people feel compelled to make everybody else's light look like their light. This drive, this fight inside is to express one's own light and to see the beauty of the other lights around. This subtle shift will change everything. This is the shift of ascension. This is the shift that will change everything. The fight, again, Lora pushes back on that word, but the fight is against oneself to remain true to the beauty that is within and to the wonderment of looking at those other lights. It is conditioning to be the only light. It is conditioning to want to gather other lights unto you. The fight will also be within to find peace within, to step back with your light instead of to lean forward with your light and to compel. To compel. The fight with the self is to no longer compel other lights, but to simply be with yours. So the fight within to express but then also within to stay within yourself, to find your own connection with source, with that divine light, and to be the light. The light is not tasked with doing anything else except being the light. The overwhelm, the breakdown, the surrender, the releasing, the clarity, all in service of being the light. And often of fighting oneself to do the light. This is a significant year in humanity. This is a significant year on the Galactic Council. I don't know what that means. This is a significant year on the Galactic Council. The fight is within oneself more than humans realize. We are not fighting our dark instincts. In your human history, there was often talk in psychology of the dark instincts of human. It's not that you're fighting your darker instincts, you're fighting your darker programming. The human has wise instincts. The human has an innate ability to connect to spirit, to connect with source. The human has an innate ability to express and to find love and joy and to feel good. It is the conditioning that is dark. We are not fighting ourselves, for we are joy. We are fighting the conditioning that tells us we are dark, the conditioning that tells us we are dangerous or violent or evil, the conditioning that tells us we will fight to stay alive and that that is necessary. This is why Lora pushes back on the word fight so strongly in her mind. There is not fight among humans in the sense that you have been conditioned to believe. There is not fight in humans to the extent that you have been conditioned to believe. This has been programmed into you. This has been taught. A human's natural state is connection and collaboration. A human's natural state is community. A human's natural state is benevolence and curiosity and joy. We do not fight ourselves. We fight the conditioning and we allow ourselves. The tipping point is here. The tipping point has, in fact, been reached. It just hasn't completely manifested yet. And this is the month that will push us all overboard. This is the month that will push the collective overboard to create the silence, which will bring about the muffling, which will allow the clarity to rise, which will allow the reconnection of humanity with itself, of humanity with its light. And from that place of being the light, we can see the other lights and feel the safety and the love and the joy and the connection with all those other lights, where we then need to fight the narrative, the conditioning that we have been told, and simply allow ourselves to be that light. With peace to you all, with honoring to you all for being here through this experience, through this breakdown of belief. We know that Lora works specifically around betrayal, the idea, the concept of betrayal. And what makes betrayal so painful and so powerful is the knowledge not being the knowledge. The way that you see things not being what is real. This is the collective betrayal. This is the collective betrayal of the story that you were told is not the story that is. The conditioning you have been given is not the way that it is. And we honor you for going through this uncomfortable experience. And we validate the discomfort not to create fear, for you can handle much more discomfort than this. We speak of this discomfort in service of letting you know that the experiences, the way that you feel, are not wrong. It is like ill-fitting shoes become uncomfortable, and yet you still have to walk the rest of the way to the shoe store in those ill-fitting shoes. This will chafe. The story chafes. The experience chafes. There is discomfort in it. But when you keep your eyes up, when you keep your light lifted, you see that you are about to find relief, and you no longer want to go back into attempts to prevent the discomfort, because attempts to prevent the discomfort will slow the progress. Feel some discomfort. Feel the hollowness of that silence. Clarity is coming. You are the light, and it is beautiful. With honor, and with both a little bit of excitement, no, a lot of bit of excitement, and a little bit of trepidation. Wow. You know, I was only intending on talking about October, and I knew it was going to be an impact in October. It's really interesting that November and December were brought in as well. I'm curious. I'm curious what those updates reveal as they get closer. If you haven't already done so, please click subscribe or go to coffeewiththelibrarians.com, Coffee with the Librarians, and I will put you on the list so you can receive these monthly videos. And there's also a link in there if you want to have a session with me and the librarians to get information on what is going on with you personally, to get the insight and the guidance you need. Thank you. Happy October, and I will see you next month, if not before. Bye.